Good afternoon. I'm Van Trail Leslie. Thank you for watching Dillard University's Fall Newscast of 2015. Some students say they are livid after losing power for 3 days at one of the on-campus dormitories. WDUT reporter India Ware talked with students who say they are not at all pleased with how the university handled the situation. India?
Students were without power for that length of time, making it difficult just to do their everyday regular routine. And though the administration brought in a generator, students felt the response time was too slow. For 3 days, the sound of generators buzzing could be heard across Dillard University's campus. Students living in Fannie C. Williams Hall had no power. At the time of this report, the administration would not say what caused the outage. From October 25th to the 27th, some 300 occupants endured conditions that left students like Jameer Morris on edge.
First of all, that night, when it started, like Friday, Saturday, it was hot as hell, you know. It stank in there. It was like, it was grease on the floor, you know. I couldn't even walk in there, man, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to my room. I almost busted my head.
The Dillard University on-campus living conditions have become unbearable here in the Williams dorm after 3 days of lost power. Williams Hall sustained a considerable amount of damage from Hurricane Katrina in 2005. It was renovated, yet some of the students complained that the co-ed dorm still has issues such as mold and roaches.
Last weekend, we didn't have power for like 3 days, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. I wasn't able to do my homework. The smell was bad because everybody's food went bad in the refrigerator, and it was just dark, and I shouldn't have to take a shower in the dark. I shouldn't have to try to search for my clothes and be late to class. Like, it's ridiculous.
Students say they were not compensated for damaged goods or perishable items that spilled in the refrigerator, nor were they given temporary housing. Some students say it's forced them to think about living elsewhere for the remainder of their college experience. As reported in the story, we reached out to the administration for a response and have not heard from them yet.
Dillard made headline news recently. President Walter Kimbrough invited a controversial guest speaker to his Brain Food lecture series. Some alumni threatened to stop giving if Kimbrough went through with it. WDUT reporter Cameron Tyler is here to tell us who the guest speaker is and why all the backlash. Cameron?
Does the name Corinne Steffens ring a bell? The video vixen has a nickname that is much more notable on the porno circuit, but that's her past. Now she travels the country speaking out against domestic violence. And since the university is bringing awareness to this serious issue, President Kimbrough felt Steffens was the right choice for his Brain Food lecture series.
Don't be mad at me, because I get to say how I feel.
Corinne Steffens, the guest speaker for Dillard University's third Brain Food lecture of the year, touches on her past life of domestic violence and how her mistakes as a younger adult fuels her to become a stronger woman.
It makes me stronger. It fuels me.
So what she represented for me was a very articulate young woman who has realized that there has been an error of her ways, and how she started off, it was really not a good thing, and those things should not happen to children. But she's managed to be able to work that into something that is marketable for her.
Many Dillard alum and parents were very upset at the fact that Corinne Steffens was speaking for tonight's Brain Food lecture series. Although there were many complaints, criticism, and petitions, she spoke with passion and confidence, and many were stunned at the fact that she was once a video vixen. Steffens has written 7 books, 3 of them New York Times bestsellers. She tells her story of domestic violence and how she has been beaten, kidnapped, raped, and disrespected since she was little. She says a lot of her abuse was at the hands of her mother, that led to a path of many mistakes and regrets. Although she has turned her life around for the better, many did not want to see her on stage. She is probably one of the most controversial speakers to speak at Brain Food.
Overall, I do commend her for coming and speaking and overcoming her fears, because like she said, whoever God is, stand up in the room, and nobody stood up.
Right,
so
exactly.
End the discussion right there.
Right, and you know, only God can judge.
Only God can judge.
My father once said to me that the worst thing I ever did was to be born a girl. Because if I were born a man, the things I've done would either be celebrated or overlooked.
President Walter Kimbrough believes having these type of speakers are necessary due to the fact that many young women have been domestically abused and that the student body of the university is about 75% female. Corinne Steffens couldn't have came at a better time, as Domestic Violence Month comes to an end.
President Kimbrough's next Brain Food Lecture Series is November 20th. The special guest is the Dance Theater of Harlem, known around the world as an American professional ballet company and school based in New York City.
Dillard devoted one of his Brain Food Lecture Series to a survivor of domestic violence. A week later, students, faculty, and staff took it a step further and joined other schools in Take Back the Night. The purpose of this event is to shed light on an issue that has been swept under the rug for years. Here's the story.
Yes means yes and no means no.
However we're dressed, wherever we go.
Students from Dillard, Loyola, Tulane, and Xavier universities gathered to shed light on domestic violence. One Dillard student in particular says she's never experienced any form of abuse, but admires those who have for speaking up.
It's a very serious issue, as I've learned. My heart goes out to all victims, and I feel like everyone should be able to gain peace from that. Take a big step to open up to somebody, talk to somebody about your issues.
Over 300 victims and spectators have gathered here at Loyola University's Horseshoe to bring awareness of domestic violence against men and women. Victims that have been subjected to domestic violence state that this type of abuse isn't just limited to being physically abused, but it is also mentally and emotionally damaging. Louisiana has the fourth highest rate of women abused and murdered by men. Louisiana has been amongst the top 10 states with the highest rates 9 out of 10 years. One Dillard instructor says victims can no longer be quiet.
Speak, speak, speak. Tell the truth, tell it loud, tell it to someone who will listen. If you feel as if there is no one to talk to, there is someone to talk to. Go to the counseling center, go to someone who you trust, that you really believe will help you and who will listen.
If you're someone you know is a victim of domestic violence, please call Louisiana statewide hotline at 1-888-411-1333. That call could very well save your life. All funds raised from Take Back the Night are distributed equally to benefit 3 local service groups dedicated to servicing victims and survivors of gender-based violence, including the New Orleans Family Justice Center, Metropolitan Center for Women and Children, and the Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner Program. Last year, the fundraising effort raised more than $2,200. Some say no longer can the NFL, the NBA, and the Major League Baseball team stand by while a few of their players assault their girlfriends or wives. WDUT reporter Joycelyn Daggs joins us in the studio with more. Joycelyn?
One Dillard instructor says no longer do female students, faculty, and staff have to be victims of domestic violence with self-defense classes being offered. Dillard University School of Social Science sponsors a self-defense class as they support Domestic Awareness Month. While having fun, they use modern-day situation attacks and teach them how to protect themselves. Freshman Kurt Clamar Jr. says he can't fathom a man pouncing on a woman, or anyone for that matter.
It's not cool, basically. Like, you got other ways to get your unexpressed feelings out, so you should explore those ways instead of, abusing people, like verbally, mentally, and like physically. It's just not cool, straight up.
Focusing on teaching not only women, as well as men self-defense, there is hope that it would not have to go that far. Exactly 23 days ago, the United States Department of Justice awarded the City of New Orleans Health Department 3 grants totaling $500,000 to help create a healthier quality of life in New Orleans, as well as preventing violence.
We invited self-defense training today to enlighten our young people in terms of learning how to defend themselves in case of any situations that arises. Sometimes we're not even aware that we might be in situations until they happen. And so we wanted to have an hour-and-a-half training session in reference to teaching our young people how to defend themselves in case they are in any situation that they have a hard time getting out of in terms of violence situations.
Ishmael says all victims and or friends of victims should know that they are not alone and help is always a call away. Statistics show that women are 85% more likely to be victims of violence by their intimate partners, while men are 15%. Dr. Ishmael says it's a good idea for women to learn self-defense since the stats are stacked against them.
And coming up next, New Orleans Mission gets a $6 million facelift. Plus, hundreds of Dillard students and others walk for a great cause, one that promotes a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Also, Dillard alumnus and actor Gary Morris visits his alma mater to drop some knowledge on the 2016 graduating class celebrating Founders Day. Stay with us. All these stories and more coming up. The executive director of the New Orleans Mission says the building is falling apart. The wear and tear of providing services to 232 men and women every day has taken its toll. WDUT reporter Asia Richardson tells us that help is on the way. $6 million worth. Asia?
New Orleans Mission is housed in the old Leventon furniture store. It was built in 1920, so that tells you how old the structure is. Now it's being renovated. In a little while, the homeless can't say they're not staying at the shelter because it's dirty and run down.
New Orleans Mission gets the much needed and long awaited facelift. Executive Director David Bodner says housing 200 men and 32 women daily is a challenge, and declining living conditions made it less appealing for some who'd rather sleep on the streets than the two-story building on Aretha Castle Haley Boulevard. Bodner says that was then, but this is now.
Women's facility is beautiful. Our family center's brand new. So to have now the North Shore being brand new and then this building being just a brand new facility, we really, I think, take away any excuse for anyone to not want to come because of the condition. So I'm really excited about that.
While renovations to the New Orleans Mission is underway, those who are homeless are still welcome to stay there. It's an option, though some have chosen to camp outside anyway. Renovations will cost $6 million. The first phase of repairing the roof and facade should be finished in November. The second phase is the most extensive and is scheduled to start in December. It includes demolishing and rebuilding the shelter's warehouse, repairing the plumbing and electrical systems, installing first-floor showers, new stairwells and office space, and renovating the kitchen and second-floor dormitory.
Oh man, I'm loving it. You know, I think it'll be great for all of us, you know, feel more secure, safer, you know, and, you know, having everything.
They feel more at home than what they do on the streets, that's for sure.
New Orleans Mission has been around for 25 years, serving those less fortunate. Bonner says the renovations will enhance the mission's ability to serve the people who need it the most.
In addition to the repairs and renovations, the mission will be installing 5 800 square feet buildings in an empty lot behind the main building. There will serve as day rooms, a place to gather for people who have spent the night at the shelter. The day rooms will include exercise equipment, computers, and a game room with pool tables, while letting people access the shelter's medical and counseling services, bathrooms, and showers.
Every year, Dillard and other universities across the country participate in the United Negro College Fund Annual Walk for Education. It's become somewhat of a rivalry between Dillard University and Xavier to see who can raise the most money. WDUT reporter Darren Ciano joins us in the studio to tell us the outcome. Darren?
This is the 28th annual Walk for Education in New Orleans. The goal was to raise $100,000. Participants exceeded the goal, raising nearly $134,000. That money is given to deserving students to attend college, particularly historically black colleges and universities.
At Audubon Park, about 500 students, parents, and educators from Dillard and Xavier University participate in the 2015 United Negro College Fund Walk and Run. The money raised will support the nation's largest and most effective minority education organization. Dillard's president, Walter Kimbrough, says the event is important for a number of reasons.
Bring a lot of awareness. So you see lots of different organizations that are out here supporting it, just the importance of UNCF institutions and UNCF nationally, because there are 37 schools nationally. So that's what this does. So it raises some money, but it does a lot of community awareness.
The 2015 UNCF Walk not only helped raise awareness for HBCUs, but also enable people of the community to exercise and get fit. The organization invests nearly $2 million in scholarships for New Orleans students each year alone. One Dillard student says some of his classmates couldn't attend college if it weren't for the UNCF.
It's very, very important. A lot of students come to Dillard University by way of the United Negro College Fund, and this is just a way for us to show our appreciation and our gratitude for the United Negro College Fund.
Everyone participating on Saturday helped raise an estimate of $130 million, surpassing the ultimate goal of $110 million. It was a successful morning for education. After all, a mind is a terrible thing to waste.
This year, Dillard raised $565. The verdict is still out on how much Xavier raised.
Dillard alumnus Garrett Morris gave the keynote address at Founders Day. Those in attendance say the famous actor was funny and informative. WDUT reporter Marcella Benson covered the story and joins us in the studio to tell us about the star's fondest moments while attending Dillard. Marcella?
His fans and admirers say he really connected with the class of 2016 while taking them down memory lane. They say the time was well spent with Garrett Morris, who reflected and celebrated Dillard's rich history with a twist of humor.
Dillard University's Homecoming Week ends with Founders Day Convocation held at Lawless Chapel. The graduating class of 2016, all clad in black, sharing the spotlight with the guest speaker.
Take it to heart because it's like almost the end of the journey, especially seniors. And what I got from it today basically is something that you should really cherish.
Dillard University's Founders Day is always one of the biggest days of the year. Not only today does Dillard University celebrate its 146-year anniversary as a university, but the theater department also celebrates its 80th anniversary. Comedian and actor Garrett Morris, a 1958 graduate of Dillard University, delivered the address. While recognizing